All right, so we'll get started. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back for the CAS 360 Singapore training. Today's training will be on the level 2. Once again, introduce myself. I'm Jennifer. I'm the account manager for Singapore. And today I'm also going to be the one training for the CAS 360 Singapore level 2 session. So just a very quick housekeeping matters. This session will be on mute for all the attendees. So you have any questions, kindly post your questions in the Q&A section of your Zoom toolbar. I'll also be posting a couple of links, useful resources from the support BGL page along the way, and also including the soft copy of today's manual so that we can also use that in parallel as we go along with the training as well. All right, so let's get started. I hope everybody can hear me, that all things are good. All right, so I'm just gonna quickly, so in today's session, we're gonna go through more on advanced features with the CAS 360, which in the lesson number 1, we're going to cover on the topics on reports. So CAS 360 has the ability to generate different type of managerial reports, all right, which includes company reports, people group report, and also the ability to generate a full set of your company registers for your company. So we're going to cover these types of reports in the lesson number 1. In lesson number 2, we'll cover more on streamlining your annual returns to help you manage your clients' upcoming AGMs and annual returns. So in this topic, we'll learn how to navigate in your smart alerts for AGM and annual returns. We're also going to learn how to produce or process company listing reports. So in CAS 360, you can generate this type of report, which will allow you to view all your key dates, including your financial year end, AGM, and annual return dates in a report. And also we'll learn how to change the company status of a company prior to the annual return process. So the company status essentially will determine the type of annual return that you'll need to process for the company as well. And then in lesson number 3, we're going to cover more on the annual returns and AGM preparation. So we'll learn how to use the return tool in your navigation toolbar that helps you to prepare your AGM and annual returns. So all the documentations for AGM as well. And along the way, we're also going to touch on a bit of XBRL if you are preparing XBRL for your client. Lesson number 4 will cover more on the topic of multi-company changes. So as you know, in CAS 360, you have the ability to apply multiple changes for multiple companies. So for example, we will cover more on the topic of changing the registered office address for multiple companies and multiple contacts. So if they are, this is a very good example. If, for example, your registered office address is used across multiple contacts or multiple companies, as well as a contact address, so we can do that as well. And lesson number 5, we'll talk more about digital signing. So we're going to learn how to set up your digital signing account. So if you've purchased Adobe Signed Enterprise account or DocuSign or FuSign accounts, we're gonna teach you or cover on how we connect your account with the CAS 360 software. Settings will cover on the topics on different types of settings that you can adjust within the software, which includes your document templates, your email templates, and your automated bulk reminders to set a reminder for yourself on the upcoming AGM, and also the ability to send a bulk reminder to your clients directly through the CAS 360. Lastly, freeform documents. So freeform documents, this is a feature that allows you to add in your documents that are not standard documents produced by CAS 360. Things like your agreement forms, for example, you can add it in through our freeform tool within the navigation toolbar. So just gonna escape this. We'll go straight to the software. So again, a gentle reminder in the sessions, if you have any questions during the session, kindly post it into the Q&A section of the Zoom toolbar. Just for those of you who've just logged in again, I'm going to share one more time in the webinar chat the link of the manual, so you can use this in parallel as we go through the training today. All right. So going back to the CAS 360, so let's just do a little bit of recap on the dashboard itself. So on the left-hand side will be your navigation toolbar. This is where you can essentially process different types of company or corporate actions, like your, for example, company changes, company registration, purchasing business profile and such, or even managing your contacts, processing your annual returns and such. So in the lesson number, we're going to cover on reports. So within the navigation toolbar, you'll be able to find reports in this section over here. So you can just see over here, click on that, and you will see the different types of standard reports that CAS 360 can produce. So under this section, we have your company reports. We also have trust reports. So trust reports are mainly for other jurisdictions, not exclusively for Singapore. We have other types of reports, such as like address usage report. If you want to find out if a specific address, for example, is used by multiple contacts or multiple companies, this is a great report. People group report is essentially a report on a contact level. If you want to find out the information that you recorded for this particular contact, it's under the group people group reports. We also have the company registers, and also if you have been exploring our AML tool, the BGL ID, we do, and also our compliance tab, you'll be able to generate a AML report over here. So our first exercise, we're going to learn how to generate what we call the company reports. So under the company reports, we have this category called company report. So company report allows you to generate the information that you have recorded in CAS 360. So if you want to find out more what are the informations that you're able to generate within the reports, you can actually refer to the page 6 of the manual. So if you go to reports over here, these are the list of information that we can display in the report. Now I'm going to talk a little bit more later if you want a much more custom reports, but meanwhile, we're just going to do what is available within retail available within the software. So company reports, you have two tabs right over here. We have the report filters, and we also have report settings. So in the report filters, it will allow you to filter based on different types. Let's say if it's a jurisdiction, it will, if you want to work on Singapore alone, you can simply select Singapore and this will filter down. So I've got over here, you can see that it filtered down to 64 companies. And therefore, I have 64 companies under like Singapore jurisdiction. I can filter by agent. If you're using multiple corpuses for to register your clients within the CAS 360, you can filter on that. You can simply select all agents or a specific company, example like this. Report date. So report date, it will generate as of today. So any information that is in the record as of today, it will generate just those informations. So some of very common questions of previously was that, can I generate a backdated report? So I just want to know what was the status of a company 3 months ago, for example. So you can always backdate the report if you want to find out the record of the company three months ago, for example. You can also generate based on filter based on the status. If you don't want to include strike off company, you can simply click on strike off. Current company, if they're not a current client at this stage, you can just if you want them to be included in the list, you can switch on current positions and holdings if you want to display not just the current position, but also those who have resigned. You can simply filter based on all labels and download as combined files. So it means that they're all the selected companies that you have selected, for example, they'll be in one single file, for example. So this is how we do the filter. So like, for example, when I use one example to see how the report will look like. And in the report filters, you have report settings as well. So report settings allows you to manage how or what kind of information to display in your report. So I've got over here like company details, company address, and each of these category, you will see we've got options, advanced options. So by clicking advanced option, it allows you to even filter more what to display. So in this case, for a company address, you can display both company address and previous company address. If you do not want to wish to display the old previous address, for example, you can simply switch off the toggle button. Similarly, in other fields, you've got the company officers. So if I want to display my date of birth and place for these companies' contacts attached to it, whether it's their shareholders and also their directors, you can switch on that. This is for the officers. You also have a filter for members as well. So there's a lot of informations that you can choose what to display in your report and what not to display, for example. So once I have selected what kind of informations I want to display in the report, I can simply save the settings and I can select export. So you can select based on a PDF format or Word. So here I'm going to just select a PDF. So you can see right now that this report, this information is the company data of CAS 360 as of the 1st of May, since I have changed it. If I were to change it as of today, any changes that happen after the 1st of May will be displayed here as well. So I've got my company addresses, my officers. I've included the ones that are historical information, including the ones already ceased, my shareholders, registrable controller for this company, and business activity as well. So this is how we generate a company report through CAS 360. Right. So the next report that I want to go through will be your people group report. So people group report can be found in other reports. People group report is similar to CAS to the report, the company report itself. So when you click, for example, just gonna go here. When you select a contact, for example, let's say I look for myself, I want to generate a report on a contact level, I can just simply select my contact. So maybe I'll select another one, David Lim, for example. So I also have an option to combine them in single file, not. And again, you have different reports filters available. I can display both the current position and also the historical position. And again, we also have the ability to select or display what kind of information that we've recorded for that contact. So we've added a couple more information over here as well. I can display if she's a representative of another company. And again, save the settings to set the settings for future use and select either PDF. So it's quite similar to your company report, but instead of information recorded on a company level, these informations are the records of a particular contact within your global contacts. So you can see that David Lip is a shareholder for multiple companies. He also has a officer positions in multiple companies as well, and he's a registrable controller. So this is how we generate a company report in CAS 360. Now, another report or functionality that you can use under the reports tool is the ability to generate a full company register set. So as you can see right over here, you'll have this category called company full register, full company register set. So in CAS 360, you have the ability to select or generate a specific registers, whether it's just register of officers, register of members, and so on. But if you wish, or let's say I want the full register of a particular company, for example, you can simply select this option under here. So similarly to other reports, you have the ability to do the filters. So I'm just gonna, again, select Singapore if I want to work on Singapore. And right in this section over here, it's the labels. It's essentially labeling your companies. I might have missed out this one in level 1. I can go through it in a short while. You can choose whether you want to find all the companies under, if you don't want companies under, let's say, CorpSec A, it will filter down to show only companies from the rest of the label except CorpSec Team A, for example. And again, in your second tab, you have the ability to select what kind of registers to be included in that full register set. So I've already preset it into these categories. I want to show my register of members, officers, and the rest. I've switched off like the seal registry entry. I don't want to display in my report. Registrable controllers, nominee, and so on. I've set that as well. So I can simply save. Now, what I'll do is I'm just going to select a company, for example. So let's say right over here. Again, you'll have the report dates and simply export. You have an option to export it in single PDF per company or multiple PDFs per company. So what this means is that when I generate this report, it will create only a single file, single PDF file for that company. Whereas for multiple PDFs per company, what it generally does is that per register, it will create one single PDF file. So if I were to select multiple PDF file, for example, so you can see on the system, it will show you that you will be notified through the notification when the files are ready for download. So click on that and you will see in the bell icon, as you recall the notification icon, it will prompt you that your request to download the full company register is ready for download. So simply click on download. As you remember, I selected multiple PDFs per company. So if I were to open a file, this file over here, you can see that for each register, it's a single PDF file. So that's what a multiple PDF file means. All right, so this is how we generate a company register set in CAS 360. So just a very quick question. So some couple of questions that go through. So annual return filings, I will be going through it later on at this in a later topic. So will the register of director shareholdings captured the shareholdings in relation to corporation, related to corporation? So this one I will have to check what exactly you mean by it, for example. All right. Okay, so we do have a couple of questions related to the board resolution, the notice. So at this stage, this is something that we're currently in work in progress at the moment. We're doing a bit of a testing phase before we can produce it within the software. So there are a couple of requests. I do understand that we had a couple of requests related to the ROIC, for example, um, within the pre-incorporation. So these particular requests are in work in process and they will release it out in the next couple of releases. As you know, if you log into CAS 360, you will get a notification over here to show that there has been a latest update. And we've just got a release over here. If you want to find out more what is the future, the current release today, we just released out new features based on the core. And also for the Singapore, you can see right over here, we've just added in. I will share this just gonna share this also to the webinar chat. So you have a bit of idea of what we have been releasing out as well. Right, so I'm gonna go back to the demonstrations. All right, so the next topic I want to go through will be lesson number 2, streamline your annual returns. So this can be found on the page 13 of your manual. So in this section, we're going to learn how to streamline your annual return processes in different ways, like using your annual returns and AGM alerts, using a company listing report to just check whether your data, your financial year ends, your AR dates, and all that are correct and accurate. And also, how do we change a company status? So, company status is important that you need to do this prior to the annual returns if there is any change that occurred. So any company changes occur prior to the annual return, the upcoming annual return must be already processed within the solution on the software. So for annual returns in AGM, on the left-hand side of their main dashboard, if you go back to the main dashboard, you will see on the left-hand side what we call alert filters. Now, a very quick tip on maximizing or really filtering based on what you just need is essentially clicking Singapore. So by clicking Singapore to filter down, it will filter down companies that have Singapore jurisdiction and the alerts. So you can see that if I were to refresh my filter, for example, you can see there's other more filters available. So these filters are across all jurisdictions. But if I were to filter, for example, based on Singapore, it will only filter alerts that are available for Singapore-only companies, right? Now, here, you can click on the different alerts. It will show you the different type of categories of alert. So for example, in AGM, we do have the financial year end date approaching, AGM due, AGM due past. We also have annual returns related, which includes annual return due date, upcoming, date past, process not filed, and process not filed overdue. So you also notice that as you navigate your dashboard, you have this icon over here next to alert. If you want to find out or have much more clarity understanding what each of these color category means, you can simply put your mouse over to show each of these color coding alerts. So for example, the purple one will be a financial year and date. The green one's company's annual return is due for processed. And you also have these the blue ones, annual return process not filed, annual return process overdue not filed. Okay, so these two, I'm just gonna quickly give you a bit more clarity on this alert here. So what we mean about annual return process not filed is that when you export out the AGM and annual return documents from CAS 360, the system understands that you've already processed the annual return. Okay. However, we don't know whether you filed it or not. So it will label it as annual return process, but not filed. Not filed means because the annual return date has not been updated, for example, or it hasn't been marked as filed within the system. Now, annual return process overdue not filed, on the other hand, is that you've downloaded the documents. So you've downloaded the document, the AGM annual return documents from your document production screen. You haven't marked it as filed into CAS 360, and it's already overdue the annual return due date. So the big difference here is that these ones, it hasn't reached the annual return date yet, while the overdue is it has already reached the deadline. It's overdue, and nothing has it hasn't been marked as filed into the system. So later on, I'm gonna show you in later topic how do we mark off a annual return that you've already processed within the software, right? So that's pretty much how we interpret these alerts, for example. Now going back to these AGM alerts. So what's great about these alerts is that when you click on a specific alert, for example, financial year end date approaching, this is a good example. Each of these alerts, you can actually mouse over, click on it, and it will show you a summary of that alert. So for this case, this company here, it's required to hold the AGM date before 31st. And their financial year end date is actually this July, for example. It will also recommend you the type of actions required for that particular alert. Because it's upcoming AGM, so you can choose to prepare the AGM, or if it needs to apply for extension, you can do that as well. If this company is exempted to hold AGM, you can click on that or send a reminder to client about this upcoming AGM. So the system is smart enough to understand what kind of actions required specific for that alert. Similarly for AGM due over here. So I've got AGM is I'm supposed to do for example here, AGM required for this company before 1st of March 2023. And you can see as well that the system sent a reminder previously for that. And you will notice that the reminder, AGM reminder has sent quite old. It didn't send a reminder previously. It's because what happened to this company is that the key dates are not accurate. So it's very important that, as a practitioner or even, a compliance, you want to make sure that you keep this information up to date. Okay. So all these are quite, accurate and all that. And also the settings. So I'm going to cover this a little bit more later about the settings. So again, different of these alerts will recommend you, like will show to you what are the alerts. And if you mouse over, it will recommend you what kind of actions needed to be done based on the alert. So that's for your annual returns and AGM alerts. To find out more detailed on what each of these alerts mean, you can find it and locate into the page 14 onwards of the manual. It will have a bit of more description on what these annual return means, how to correct them. For example, if you're getting errors in your annual returns, the alerts, then and where they're getting this information from, then it will show you in this list as well. All right. So hope that's clear. Now, any questions for the alerts? All right. So for that, so I'm gonna go through the topics or question if it's related to what we're doing right now. So for those questions coming through, I'll cover this a little bit later on as well. So I'm gonna just move on to the next one. So any questions about the alerts? If not, I'm gonna go to the next one, will be next exercise for us. And you can find it on page 18, your company listing. So company listing report is one of a great report that allows you to help you keep track of whether your key dates are up to date. So to locate that and generate that, essentially you have to go back to your reports. And this time now under your company reports, select company listing. So here again, you will have a filter, and you can see in the filter that you have the ability to generate based on company name, annual return or review date, and so on. You can also base it on your annual return review. Generally, I would always recommend do it in one full year, one calendar year. And this one calendar year is based on current year. So other filters as well, if you want to, for example, select the select options, you can expand. If you do not wish to include strike of companies into the list, you can just remove that. Subclass as well. Company type, you can filter that. If you don't want to include it into your company listing, you can remove, let's say, for example, foreign. You can just remove that as it is, save everything. And again, similarly for labels. So again, at report settings, you have the ability to select what information to display. So unfortunately here in the software in this reports, because it's based on column, it's only able to display up to maximum of 9 columns within the PDF file. Otherwise, it's going to be cramped. It's too cramped. So you have an option to deselect information that you do not wish to display. So here I've already displayed that. If I don't want to display current client, I can just switch off that is. So a quick tip usually is to always switch on the key dates. So show financial year end, AGM, previous AGM, return days, and last file. So these are the key important um, information you want to display for company listing report. The objective of having generating company listing report is essentially to see the accuracy of your information, particularly for your key dates, just to see whether, if you have updated it in the system, if, for example, you have team members who is responsible updating the AGM dates within the system, if the report doesn't show it's accurate, then you know that, okay, we need to update these multiple companies. So this is a great report when you do your, for example, you have done your annual return filing after this month, for example, but it still hasn't, reflect within the software. Means that you haven't edited it, you haven't updated in the general details of that company or those companies. So click save the settings, right? So again, also similarly, now that I've filtered all that, I can just simply export either in the Excel or PDF. So this will display anything like your financial year and date, your previous AGM dates, and your turn last file as well. So one of the key things is really important is this financial year and date, so you can keep track. Okay, when are you supposed to do your the previous and AGM and so on. So usually it will display the AGM date as well, but my account is a test account, so you won't be able to see at the moment. Right, so this is how we generate a company listing report on CAS 360. All right. So next I'm going to learn is company status. So company status, the information can be found on the page 20 of your manual. And to navigate and change a company status, simply select the company that you want to work on. For example, we'll use this case, this company. And in the general details, you have to scroll the way down to see company status. So under the company status, you can change whether it's active, pending strike off, and so on. You also have the ability to change whether the company type has changed prior to the annual returns, limited by shares, and if the company has switched to a small company group, for example. If I were to, let's say, I want to strike off a company, you can simply change the status of the company to strike off. This will then enable your prepare forms button next to the status of the company. And it will allow you to go through a prerequisite questions, like who's the applicant for this change, reason for strike off, for example. And you can go through all these questions before preparing the strike off. After which, by clicking on prepare the documents, again, it will bring you to your document production page. On the left-hand side, you have the company status, which is to show to you what kind of action that you're doing for this company, which is a strike off. And because it's a strike off of this second main company, it will automatically produce the documents required for a strike off, which includes your members' resolution, You have your application for strike-off. You also have director minutes and resolutions. So any document related for that particular, for the strike-off, you have the ability to change that. So once you click download all, so let's say I'm just going to put in an address. And again, so if you recall that every time you click download all or send all, you're telling the system that you process this document. So which means you're processing the strike of the company. So what will happen is that automatically the software, CAS 360, will change the status of the company to strike off and click save. Right, so that's how we processed a company status change in CAS 360. So any question on that topic? All right, if there's no question on that specific topic, I'm gonna go to the next lesson, which is your annual return. All right. So on page 25 of your manual, so you can find it over here. Again, just quickly to navigate, you can just simply click. So all this text in the manual can be clickable, so this will bring you quickly to the content. Now, when you're first starting CAS 360 and launching the XBRL tool, it will prompt you to download the XBRL. All right, so these are the prerequisite. You will be prompted to download the preparation tool of XBRL. And you also need to make sure that whoever is the user preparing the XBRL will have access to download and use the XBRL function. So how do we do that? So I'm going to go back to my CAS 360. Let's say I am the user. I need to prepare, but I can't seem to download that file, or I don't seem to have access to the XBRL tool itself. So I will need to notify my account owner to give me rights. So as an account owner, I will need to go, for example, I will switch my status. I will now the account owner. So as an account owner, I will need to make sure that I invite or I change the role setting of my team member who is responsible for preparing XBRL. So to do that, you can simply go to users, admin, role settings. So if, for example, that team member of mine, I've given this team member a role as an accountant, I need to make sure that he or she has the XBRL financial statement enabled. If, for example, let's say this team member who is responsible for preparing XBRL is using or has a different role settings for CAS 360. And maybe let's assume it's switched off, for example, right? If this user is not able to, it means that their XBRL financial statement access role is switched off. So if you're the one who's preparing XBRL, please make sure to flag this to your account owner. And if you're an account owner managing the role settings, make sure that the person who is preparing the XBRL have the ability to access the XBRL. So this is a very important process. Now, going back to my the CAS 360, so this is one of the prerequisites. Secondly is that I'm gonna go back again over here. If you are unable to locate the download file, you can just simply click that link. It will automatically download a application file for you to run and install into your computer. So it's quite similar to your Accra XBRL tool, which you'll require to download onto your computer. XBRL, CAS 360's XBRL desktop version will need to be downloaded onto your computer as well. Also make sure that when you are processing XBRL, you want to make sure that your UN number for that company is accurate and true. So to make sure to change or to update if there is any error, simply go to the profile of the company and you can find the UN numbers. You want to make sure that these informations are accurate. Now, lastly, registered filing agent must be also assigned to the company. So a very good practice, a best practice when maintaining or managing your client's information is, again, having the ability to assign the registered filing agent. You need to make sure that your filing agent has been assigned for each company you're preparing XBRL for. Lastly, this XBRL functionality is only available for Windows users. So if you are using Mac, like a Mac OS, then this particular tool will not work. It doesn't run on a Windows operating, Microsoft Mac operating system, but it can only run on the Windows application, Windows operating system. So this is very important before running your XBR. Now I'm going to go back to my CAS 360, and to locate the XBRL tool, you can simply go to the returns. So if you have already explored the returns, the returns page where you process your AGM annual returns and so on. So I'll talk a little bit more about this later on. Now, to download and launch your XBRL tool, simply go select to options and select prepare XBRL financial statements. If you are a new user, or rather you have not to download this file onto the computer, it will prompt you to download and install the XBRL preparation tool. For my case, because I've already installed that application onto my computer, I can simply click on Open Start XBRL. So this will essentially launch the product for me, the application. And you can see right over here, it's prompting me to ask me my authorization. So I need to make sure that I am authorized user of CAS 360 to even process XBRL for a client as well. So this is like one of the security process required as well, because the financial statement is sensitive information, and it will require you to add in the XBRL token key for validation. Now, if you want to access, let's say, where do I get this? Simply click on this application over here. And this will show to you the migration tool. Now, something also very important to take note, that as a XBRL, so one thing is that you need to have financial statements, the XBRL FS access in the user level as your role settings. This will then enable you to see this. If you're a user, and firstly, you cannot install or launch the XBRL. Secondly, you cannot see this. It means that your account owner hasn't set up your role settings to have rights to access to this as well. So you can see right now that code I have for my XBRL application has already expired. You can see it, so if I go back, it's already expired. So I can simply regenerate that. The validity of this code is until 23rd of August. So within that time frame, I can process my XBRL for my client seamlessly and click on copy, select, simply remove, paste, and validate. So you can see that it will prompt me XBRL financial statement for companies in CAS 360, CAS 360 firm. My firm name is Gen Training Singapore. That's my company name. And I can just simply confirm that this is me and click save. So you can see right over here, it will show to you the company you're working on, the username as well. So just close that. I'll go back to my company. So I'll just select one for here. Now I'm just going to filter the financial year and quickly. So right over here. So you can see that when I launch it again, it will not notify me to key in the validation token anymore. So it recognizes that, okay, you have, your token is valid until next month, so you can access it without the validation token. Now, there are various ways to prepare the XBRL. So for example, if you are creating from scratch for a new client, you can simply create as new. This will automatically populate the general information of the company, including the UN number, current period date. You can select whether it's full simplified. If you have the full financial statement, you can copy and paste the full financial statement over here if you wish to. So we have, and depending on whether it's full or simplified as well, you can just indicate that. And each of the notes, this is where you can fill up the information for the XBRL. Now, this is one way. And if you have a financial statement, you can simply copy and paste the financial statement over here. And most importantly, you need to copy the financial statement in text format so that it will auto-populate over here. It'll auto-match, auto-tag. If you can't locate it, for example, XBRL, you can just simply drag the items from this source document onto this location over here. Now, another option, and it's usually common with a lot of existing companies, is importing your previous XBRL. So to import that, so you can see import, you can simply import the XBRL file right over here. And you can see that it will show to you based on that XBRL file that probably you received from the accountant or you received from the client, for example, or you've processed it last year. Usually it's the last year. It will show to you the balance forward. All right. So you can also display what are the informations that has been added. Currently, it doesn't have any information. You can see that it's the date, even the year itself, it's displaying based on 2021 to 22. And you've got all this based on that file that I've uploaded, the notes are different as well. So because I don't have a much more like accurate record over here, I'm going to show to you how usually it will work when you run a validation, because I don't have uh, an actual company to display. I'm just going to quickly run video. So when you go again, so when you go to the options, this will prompt you to select XBRL and open Start XBRL tool. So again, the tool can recognize which company you're working on. And if you click new, it will be from the fresh list. So depending on the current, so it will display the current year that you're working on. And you can select the type of XBRL filing. And again, so you can add in your financial statements, so all the fields required for the XBRL, including the year they're working on, it will be added in there as well. And you can see the figure. It will auto calculate whether it's out of balance, for example. So the user over here, she has a XBRL file from the previous filing. So what they're simply doing is that they're uploading the balance forward. So you can see, I'm just going to stop right there. Like you will see that on the left-hand side, it has now been converted to simplified. Based on the file that they uploaded, you can see that the whole XBRL has now been simplified. So you can simply click on validate and upload. And what it does with our XBRL is that it will validate real time with Accra. So Accra is actually validating it in the background for you. Accra has the connectivity with our CAS 360 XBRL tool, and it does the validation of these XBRL data in real time upon clicking validate and upload. If they're able to detect that there's errors in that XBRL, this will provide you a validation error. So you can see an example validation failed. There's genuine errors. Please rectify. So CAS 360 XBRL will provide you a soft copy of the XBRL. Okay. First, it will provide a copy of the genuine errors, what needs to be fixed, for example. And the user here will go back to the XBRL and click download the PDF copy of this XBRL. So you can see this will be the copy, because usually if you have the file itself, you won't have the PDF copy. The XBRL tool in CAS 360 has the ability to generate a PDF copy of that, of the XBRL. So what the user is doing now is simply click OK, and she's trying to process and update the mistakes. If there's mistakes within this data field, he will just need to update that and run the validation again. So here, just correcting the current start date. So you can see the dates have been updated earlier, and I think it was to 18. And the user is validating that XBRL, the amended XBRL data one more time. So this time now that's been fixed, you can run the validation again. So Accra will do the validation real time in the back end. And once it's successful, the XBRL tool will notify you that it has been completed and the validations are all correct and true. So you can see the validation is successful. Again, you have the ability to download a PDF copy of the XBRL report. If this is something that you'll need to, let's say, hand over to your client, and I confirm that the XBRL data is accurate and complete, and simply upload. So this validate and upload, you have the ability to upload it directly to Accra. So one of also the reason why it's so important to have your filing agent added in is because they need to recognize, Accra needs to recognize who is filing for this company, which service provider is filing and accessing to the data information and filing for this particular company on behalf. Now, previously, we're able to upload it onto the whole workflow of annual returns, but because the lodgement process right now has been disabled, so we've disabled this part, but you can definitely upload it directly to Accra instead. So I'm just going to close this here. So when you click upload and validate upload here, you can simply upload it directly to Accra instead. All right. So you can see that authentication has expired. It will require you to authenticate again. So when it says that it's expired, that means that your filing agent hasn't been authorized yet. So if you recall in the training earlier on Tuesday, you will need to always authenticate under your lodgement agent settings if you are processing, whether it's purchasing business profile to Accra or processing XBRL directly with Accra's interface. So that's how we process XBRL on CAS 360. So if you're providing XBRL features, or rather services, you can use this XBRL provided by CAS 360. Now, once you have prepared the XBRL, so if you're not, also if you're not processing XBRL, can now prepare the annual returns or AGM documents within the software. So on the left-hand side of your navigation toolbar, simply select Returns. So in the returns, you have different types of annual returns available. We've got Australia, if you're managing Australia companies, New Zealand, Singapore, and Hong Kong. So for this exercise, Singapore specific, we do have for Singapore annual returns. So the functionality will be different and specific for Singapore. On the left-hand side, you'll be able to find and filter based on financial year and date. If you are working on a one full calendar current year, you can simply filter it based on January 2024, or if you're working on last year from maybe June, let's say June 2024 until as of today, for example, you can filter it as well. You can also see the companies that's overdue right on the left. And if you want to only view companies under your label, you can see we don't have, for example, over here, you can filter based on label. So in CAS 360, as we mentioned earlier on, that the best practice is to mark a company that's already filed the annual return. So earlier on, when we were going through this whole alerts, AGM alerts and annual returns, to get the accurate alerts within the software, you need to make sure that you've marked that annual returns as filed. Example, this one, processed but filed. Right? So if, for example, this is an example of a company, I can simply go to Documents. You can mark as manually filed. But what I usually recommend is not to manually click as manually filed, but go to returns instead. Currently, we're working on the whole workflow for this, but instead going to, let's say, think that company was I5, for example. We want to mark this as a filed. You can simply go to the option and select Mark as filed. When you click this as Mark as filed, this will prompt you to fill in the filing date. So let's assume I filed it today's date. And any copy of, let's say, the annual returns from ACRA that you've processed, if you file it directly to ACRA, you will have a copy of the annual returns. Can use that as a supporting document that you've marked this company as filed. So click on Save. Now, you can see that this company is no longer in my list. So if I were to type in High5 company, and I go to the general details, scroll to company dates, and you can see that in my key dates, it has been filed as annual return last filed, which is as of the date, today's date. So you want to make sure also that your key dates are accurate as well. So I believe that this key date was incorrect. It was, I think, from 2/24 onwards, and that's why it's counting at 25. So you can see that this is not accurate. And if you recall earlier on, the financial year end date was in 2024. So what it was doing, it was counting one full calendar year. So this is the reason why it's so important that when you're maintaining to have a better accuracy when you are maintaining the client's annual returns and also tracking the AGM and also the annual returns, these information are following the current the financial year. So if, for example, we're working on, let's say, um, your 12th of December, all the financial year and date happening in 12 December, for example. So this one is supposed to be that 24. So you will have much more accurate. Otherwise, it won't alert you accurately, for example. So if I were to go to company, I will say you can see over here. So I don't have that company anymore. So probably this one is another good example. You can see this is just find. And if I were to mark this off, it will follow a full calendar year. Now, these key dates you can see there, they will calculate it based on the financial year and date. So generally, if it's an AGM, it's 6 months, it will calculate to 6 months. And then the annual return due date will be 7 months later. So a very good tip is always make sure that your key dates are accurate so that you'll receive a much more accurate alerts, and that when you've already filed it directly to Accra, simply click at Mark as Filed to input the right filing date. Now that we've done how to mark this company, the annual return as filed for these particular companies, if you're not using the documentation here, you can now also, in CAS 360, the ability to generate the annual returns and AGM documents itself. So to do that, you can simply click on Prepare Documents, and this will bring you to your Prepare Annual Return Documents. So you can see you have a questionnaires. There are 2 tabs right over here. One is Annual Return Data, and the other one is Annual Returns Minutes Data. So select one company, for example. I'm just going to do one over here. If the company is a small company, exempt them from audit, and tick. If it's not, you're required to put in financial statements. You can switch that on. If you have, if it's audited, you will be prompted to add in your financial statement, XBRL, and audited. Otherwise, if it's not required, if it's exempted from audit, it will be as it is. If the company is required to host to run a AGM, if it's not required, you can simply select in the drop-down option as well. If it's a dormant, you can select whether it's a dormant. If it's required, you will need to ensure that input the AGM for which this financial statement is laid. So I'm just going to put today's date, for example. And this part over here is very important, because any information that you need to disclose in your AGM members minutes and resolution and AGM director minutes and resolution, for example, your remuneration, if you're re-electing a director, for example, you need to fill up this information before you can even extract or process the AGM documents. So for example, over here, let's say I have reappointed Jen as the director for this company. I can simply select the current existing one. You can also add in the director's fee. Add that in, for example. any remuneration. You can type in what's the remuneration information for this company. Just test. Any dividends, profit and loss. You can add in the currency of the profit and loss as well. For example, if you have an auditor for the company, you also need to make sure that if this auditor is reappointed. So these steps are very important before you can even process your AGM documents. So once all this information has been filled up, simply click on Save and Prepare. And this will bring you to the document production for AGM. So you can see on the left-hand side, you're preparing annual returns for this company. And you have the annual returns and the rest of the AGM documents. So you've got your director minutes and resolutions. So this is just a standard formatting provided by the software. You've got the members. I've got my customized template header here. You can see that whatever information I have disclosed and filled up, it will display in my resolutions and minutes for AGM. You've got your short notice as well. Notice of AGM. So usually they will have, and you can see also in each document, it will have this option. So for example, here, so give an example, maybe this notice over here. So I think this will be not a good example. I'm just gonna select one more company first. I'm just gonna quickly add in. So in one of the documents, I'm just gonna quickly check. So one of the documents allows you to also prepare the list for here. If you have the meetings, leave us blank. And if you want to have a, because currently right now my interface is a little bit different. If you want to see the list of attendees as well in your, over here, in your members minutes. So if you want to, for example, one of the few questions, how do I actually switch on the attendees list, the meeting attendees, you and have that into my documentations. Want to make sure that in the options you have enabled this option over here. So again, when you prefer, before preparing the documents, you want to make sure that you preview the documents first. So this is the attendees list. So you can simply click on the document to preview before you even generate out the document. So I can just simply click on download all. Again, the system recognizes that you are processing the annual returns and also the AGM documents. It's assuming that you're doing this or sending it, preparing this for the client. If I were to go to my global documents, if you recall, it will automatically save a copy version. You can see that this particular annual return documents for this company, 23rd company, has been prepared today. So going back to that company, right? Under your returns. It's right over here. If you need to re-prepare again, you can simply go back to that page. If you made a mistake, you can always like refill whatever missing information you have and click prepare. But essentially, again, it will create a folder. If let's say I had made a mistake over here, I didn't disclose, for example, my re-election, for example, of that officer. So I want to re-elect the same officers, and I wasn't able to disclose that in my resolution. Again, we'll need to reprocess the whole documentations. You've got your annual returns. So I'm going to touch on this as well. So some of you might also experience that these particular text is not displaying in your annual returns. And how do we switch on these to display and disclose? If the register is kept in the registered filing agent's registered address. So this is the annual returns. You have the AGM documents. Now, so if I were to go back to this company, for example, right? So I can see 23rd. I go to global and let's say this document, I don't want this document. This is a much more accurate document. I can simply click as void. Edit this. Let's say void or canceled, for example. Just so for your keep tracking purposes that this is not the valid document. This is the one that you're supposed to be referring to. And each of this document file will have a trace number for tracking. Now, going back to the returns, right? So one of the few questions as well is how do I disclose that text on my annual returns, right? So one of the very important practice or best practice when again managing your company's information is again making sure that you've assigned a registered filing agent. So if, for example, you are processing a company AGM documents and annual returns, and it keeps showing the registered address of the company, of this company, for example, let's say this registered address, it's not showing the registered address of my service provider, of your registered address as a service provider. This means that you haven't firstly set up the registered filing agent. Second is you haven't assigned a registered filing agent for the company. So always make sure that you check this as a prerequisite together with also the company dates. So you can see an example here. The financial year is still 23. So I have to make sure that these data are accurate and true. So this is how, quick tips and also the best practices when you're managing annual returns, information, preparing the annual return documents in AGM in CAS 360. So at the moment right now, because we can't really process or do the lodgement. So previously, for those of you who might have had a chance to use it last year, or for those of you who are new, CAS 360 could actually lodge your annual return directly with ACRA. But because of the recent changes since December 2024 of with the whole lodgement process, this feature is disabled at the moment. So you might not be able to see this feature, or you can see it, but you're not able to use it because we don't, this has been disabled for now. All right, so any questions for the annual return? All right, so I do have a couple of like question about um the inability one of the users probably asked like not able to download the return sections in terms because it's annual return of the company limited by currency. Could you please maybe I will answer this a little bit more separately because this is something I need to flag to our product team. This is more technical that they need to check. All right. And also like declarations of dividends. This can be found in your share transactions. So I'll give this questions probably a feedback to our product team. This is a little bit more granular questions that I can go through. All right, so I'm gonna go next to the next topic, which is your multi-company changes. So that will be on the page 42 of your manual. All right. So in CAS 360, you have the ability to apply a change that have like the same similar information applied to multiple companies and contacts. So in this exercise, we're going to learn how to change the same information changed to apply to multiple companies and contacts. So in your navigation toolbar, you can see right over here, we have the returns, and right below returns, you'll see multiple. So when you're first starting with CAS 360, you will have the empty page over here. Click on the new change. And for this exercise, we're going to do a bulk change of registered address. So here I'm going to select a company. You can see this is the address. I'll use this company first, an example. And when you notice when I'm selecting the company, it will show to me which, if this company is, if this address that this company is using is also shared among multiple companies and contacts within CAS 360. For example, if let's say I want to change it to Tanjong Pagar, example. So if I don't have the address appearing in my list, you can always create it on the spot. Otherwise, I'm just going to select whichever address that appears at the moment just for this exercise. You have the prerequisite, is it premise occupied by someone other than company? If yes, you can just add it in, or you can skip that part. Apply the change to company addresses. So as you know that in CAS 360, you have not just registered address, but you also have the business, postal, meeting, and location of the registers. If this is not applicable, let's say I want to apply for the business, for example, and the postal, you can just simply switch on which addresses, company addresses you want to apply this change. And you can see right over here is apply the change where company's registered address is the same. So you can always either select the toggle button, and you can also view which company is using the same Woodlands address. So you can see that there's 18 July company using the same registered address. You also have similarly a contact using that address. So you can see that this contact, this contact in a sense, in the context that this is located in your global contacts. They're a corporate contact instead of a company within your license. So if you want to apply that change, you can simply select the yes, switch on the toggle button and proceed. So what it does is that automatically under multi-changed, it will give you the list of company that requires a change of their registered address. It will also indicate that this particular company, it has an example over here, a corporate shareholder. You can see the title. That's using that same address, and you have applied the change for that. So you can simply select to prepare the documentation. So for example, over here, because this is a change of address for one of your corporate shareholders, so it will prepare a register of members and director minutes and resolution. And you can simply just select download or send directly to the client. So you can see right now that company with that shareholder, you no longer see the list because you've already processed that. So if I were to go back to 18 September, so I think that was 18 September company, I'll go to my shareholders. And you can see the shareholder, it changed from Woodlands to Tangling because we've just processed and download the documents to apply the official change of address. So just go back to multi-company change. You can see that I can also prepare for registered address. Again, the standard documentations, via directors and company change summary. And once again, if I click on download or send all, CAS 360 will officially apply the change of address for these companies. Now, this particular change of registered address is essentially important, rather very useful if you are a service provider and you are offering your registered office address for multiple companies and multiple contacts. So instead of having to go one by one to the company, especially if you are, let's say, a scenario where you move to another office and you have 50 clients that needs to be updated for the change of the registered office address, for example, then you can simply use this tool to do a bulk change for those 50 companies. So that's how we do a bulk registered office address change using the multi-change features. Now, the next one that we can do under the multi-change is essentially selecting the officer's change. So here we will select under company change, select officer change. And I'm going to select, for example, Veronica Tan. So this is also a good exercise scenario if you are as a service provider and you want to resign yourself as, let's say, a director or a secretary from several companies, you can use this tool as well. So for example, I would like to resign this officer for multiple companies. That's as that she's a director. Click next. You can see there's no company over here. Probably I'm gonna select another example. I'll just select as a director. I want to resign, do a bulk resignation. And here you can see these are the list of companies that Jennifer is a director to. So I can have an option whether to select all or I can simply, I just wanna resign myself as a director to some few companies. And again, once you've done that, you click proceed. This will automatically, again, list out these documents for you to prepare. So you can see you have director minutes and resolutions. If you already processed that, you can just remove that. Resignation letter, your updated register of directors. It will automatically process for you. Similarly, in the multi-company changed under the officers change, if you have, let's say, one contact that you want to apply as a officer to multiple companies, or let's assume secretary, you can simply appoint that particular contact and you can select to multiple companies. So this will do a very quick bulk process of appointing or resigning or changing the status of a particular contact within multiple firms. So you can see now, for example, I've got a company over here, 12th of May. We've appointed Veronica Tan as a secretary. So if I were to click prepare forms, you can see over here that I have a Form 45B and my full suite of document for a appointment of secretary, a new secretary for this particular company. So this is saves a lot of time in terms of if you are a service provider and you are the corporate secretary for a bulk of companies and you want to resign yourself, for that you can use this feature to do the bulk change. So that's for multi-company changes. Now, next on this topic on the lesson is we're going to learn on lesson number 5, page 48 onwards of your manual, setting up your digital signing in CAS 360. Now, before that, I'm just going to share to you again the annual returns. So for those of you who want to do, if you want to recall your annual the annual return filing process, again, it's going to be here in your support guide. So you can locate it in your help, select support or help. But I'm just also going to share to you this content as well, so that you have the ability to understand the filing process, how to process the documentations, what are the documents that we can prepare, the XBRL, the auto tagging as well. If you want to learn about the auto tagging, I won't have enough I won't have much more details on this this session, so I'm gonna just share this particular resource online in the webinar chat as well. So do feel free to explore the contents on those topics. Now, going back to my CAS 360. So in CAS 360, you have the ability to process your documentations for using the digital signing. And to set up your digital signing, you can simply go to your settings and select electronic signing. So we've done a couple of changes around electronic signing over here. You can see use SMS for 2FA signatories, email signers for complete document pack, If let's say that if all the signing, if all the respective, let's say, officers or signatories have already signed the document, you can prompt to send an email to the client directly from the software, display all the signers in the email as well. So then you can toggle that particular features. So these are one of the new ones. Now, when you click on electronic signing integration, you'll also be able to see what are the digital signing that has integration with CAS 360. So we've got DocuSign, Adobe Sign, FuseSign, and PleaseSign. So PleaseSign is something that we've just released out today. The ability to use this tool. If you do not wish to use DocuSign, Adobe Sign, for example, you want more of a much more affordable options, you can explore going to the FuseSign and PleaseSign. Now, to enable or connect your digital signing, one of these digital signing, simply go to BGL integration. And you can see right over here that I have 2 digital signing that's already been active. This means that I have already set up and enabled their connection between my account with the digital signing of my preferred digital signing and with my CAS 360 software. So to activate or to link up your digital signing account, simply click on that icon over here, the settings icon. And what it will prompt you to do is you will need to sign in with your digital signing platform. Now, something to also take note is that you will need to key in, or rather purchase the license directly from the digital signing provider to be able to connect that. CAS 360 do not provide the licenses for these respective signing platforms. So if you want or you're interested, you can always reach out to the respective digital signing platform. You can also, in the web, in this section here, in CAS 360 digital signing, we do have different articles to help you enable. So I'm just going to share this article as well if you're interested. And what are the documents that supports digital signing? So we've added in more content. The new one will be please sign, digitally signed documents. You'll get a notification for it. Digital signing as well. So I'm just going to show to you how this works as well for digital signing. So I'm just going to go back to my CAS 360. You can see that my DocuSign is already active, and this is my default. Default in a sense that every time I prepare documents in my document production, automatically my default digital signing will be Adobe Sign. So that's what it needs. So I'll give you an example. Let's say I go to one of my companies that we have processed. So I'm just gonna do the same company that we've done the other day, July 27 services. And we will just do a very simple reprinting of a appointment of officers. So when I click on prepare forms, you can see what you'll notice is that you have a signature or signing switched on over here. So automatically my digital signing has been switched by default. So to manage that, you can simply go to electronic signing options. If I were to, let's say, switch to my FuseSign, for example, that's one is already switched on, then I can switch that on. If you do not wish to switch on the digital signing, so let's say this particular client of yours, they don't use digital signing, they preferred a wet ink. So you can simply click on None and click Save. If you want to go back and let's say they decided they want digital signing, you can simply switch on the digital signing of your choice. You have the ability to switch on whether to email the signer's complete signed document pack, which means that CAS 360 will email your clients all the signing, the person, the people who needs to sign those documents, they will receive an email notification. If you want for security or additional security, use SMS as 2FA for the signatories or display all the signing signers in the email. Now, to be able to make sure that you use this for the signatories, you need to make sure that the signing partners, for example, in this case, Alexis, the respective signing people, you have set up their mobile details as well. So just take note of that. You can see that each of the signing partner, if I were to use a 2MA, I had to make sure that I have a number over here. So I'll just keep it as it is. I'm not going to apply the 2FA for now. And once I'm happy with that, you can either, so go over here. So you will have to click send all as an option for you to send this document to be digitally signed. So if you notice for download all, it will just download a PDF copy of it. So, but with digital signing, you must use the send all to be able for their client to digitally sign the document. Here, I'm just going to click on send all. So all those signing partners that needs to sign the document, you can see right over here. If you want to see how the content of this document looks like, you'll be able to scroll all the way down. And instead of a PDF copy attached to the email, like we've been practicing on previously, you will see document review instead. So this is the link that will allow the signing partner to sign the document digitally. So I'm just going to click send. This will send to my email. Maybe you should be able to send it. Okay, so I'm just gonna see my error, the fuse signed. Okay, so because I used the fuse sign, I'm just gonna switch it back to my electronic signing to Adobe DocuSign. I should be able to see that. I'm resending. And once I click that again, it will send directly to the client's in your client's inbox. So I'll show you later a trick as well. How do we able to set your email, that email sent to the client, for the client to be able to reply to your email directly instead of no reply. So I'm just going to quickly refresh my inbox just to see if I've received that. Okay. So hopefully it's not logging. Okay. Now, I just want to quickly answer one of the questions as well in terms of reports. So if you have any customized report request, let's say you want much more granular information, you want to be able to extract reports. So let's say this report that you have over here is not sufficient for you, for example, or you need one more few more details, for example. What you can simply do is log a ticket. You can request through the live chat or through the support and give them what are the data sets that you want to appear in your report. So like what are the information like do you want to display the name, the company name, the UN, incorporation, financial year end date. So give these data sets information to through the live chat or support that you request a custom report to be extracted, and we'll be able to do that for you. All right. So for the question on generating all the clients' financial year end based on financial year end date, so you can actually do that. So under your company listing, all right, and then you just simply export. So this one will show based on the calendar year at the moment. So we don't actually show based on the old year. This is based on 2025. So if you want to filter, let's say I only want March 20, the March, for example, financial year ends in March, you can simply maybe put it in April. So you will have 2 years. So any financial year. And otherwise, you can, again, always request the product team. For example, if you have the financial year end date, you can display, then you can show that. I think right now mine is not accurate at this stage. We don't have this over here. So if you want to have much more accurate, do reach out to our live chat or support to give you a custom report, but you need to provide them what are the data sets required for that report. Now, going back to that topic, so I don't want to be into the topic, so I'm just going to quickly show how it would look like. Now, because we send the document to the client, you can see David Dunn. We also have Alexis earlier on 3 minutes ago, and you can see that this is the content that we've sent, and it has a digital signing link. So if I were to click on the document, prepare document to sign a document, it will automatically show to the client's web browser to review the documents. Now, the person who needs to sign the document doesn't require him or her to have a digital signing account. So all the signing partners, they will be able to still access it, regardless of whether they have digital signing or not. So all they need to do is click on review the documents. And this will bring me to the digital signing page. I'm just going to quickly sign this document. So that's that. Now, so in CAS 360, when the digital signing has been processed, I'm just going to quickly go over here. You can see that, so me as a signing person, I can download the signed copy or email me the signed copy, my soft copy of the document I just signed, all right, with my signature. Now, in CAS 360, it will also notify you if the person has signed a document. I'm just going to quickly refresh this. it should show to me an example. So what usually happens is that if you can see over here, I just got the notification. You can see that Alexis Chan has signed a document. All right. So, but we still need one more person to sign the document. And if I were to go to my documents, so again, it will show to me DocuSign sent to client. I've only had one person signing the document, which is Alexis Chan. So I need one more person to sign the document so that these status will change. So if I were to go, let me use back over here, and I've got another person, David. So let's assume I am David. So I'll need to sign or review the document and sign. So I'm just gonna sign over here, David. So again, it will notify me, David, if I want to download a signed copy, a version of that. Now, if I were to go back to CAS 360, so right now I've signed Alexis, so it will notify me as the preparer, as the service provider who sent this document to both of my, to David and to Alexis, to notify me that all this, firstly, that David has also signed the document, so is Alexis Chan, and that this full set of document has been completely signed by all the signing partner. I'm just going to refresh it so you can see that over here, there are two notifications. So one is that David has digitally signed a document, and secondly, the document has been digitally signed. So you can see right now that the status of the document for this trace number document 1199 for appointment of director, the status has now changed to document signed by the client. So you also have the ability to see the whole historical trail of this document by, again, going to the options and selecting history. So they will show to you when it was prepared, the timestamp and the date, when it was signed to the client for signing with the timestamp set, and when it was signed by the client. So if, for example, if one of the clients, um, hasn't signed the document, you won't be able to reach this stage. So the wonderful thing about digital signing is that it will help you with the processing of changing the status of the documents, and keeping track that, okay, you've received the documents from the client. So, you'll need to do the next step, which either lodgement and so on. So that's the power of digital signing. Now, I'm just going to quickly check if I've sent any questions so far for digital signing. All right, so also, like, if for digital signing, I just want to like share as well a content of digital signing. So each of the digital signing will have prerequisite as well. So for example, if you are looking at purchasing a DocuSign, you need to make sure that you have an advanced solution. So not all digital signing plan for DocuSign, for example, has the ability or give you the features to do two-way integration, which means integration with together with CAS 360 or with other software. So DocuSign and Adobe Sign, they will require you to have a enterprise or advanced. The plan, the subscription must be a advanced or enterprise plan to be able to utilize the integration within the CAS 360. So this is just a very reminder before you can even decide to purchase that. You can always reach out to Adobe or DocuSign or the respective digital signing platform to check with them which plan that allows you to have a integration with CAS 360. So that's for digital signing. Now, the next topic that I want to go through will be your lesson number 6, page 55 of the manual. So we're going to cover on the tools called settings, which allows you to adjust the look and feel of your documents, email templates, adjust the settings of your email settings, and also set your automated document reminders. So the settings can be found in the last item in your navigation toolbar called settings. And here you will see different tabs, which includes where you set up your lodgement agent. If you recall, we've set up, you've learned how to set up your registered filing agent, which is your generally for Singapore, it will be your company's corpus. And you'll also be able to adjust templates, email templates. SMS is right now not available for Singapore, but we do have the email settings, your electronic signings, and automated reminders. So first I want to go through is your email settings. So email settings, you have the ability to adjust how your client is receiving the email. So one of which is custom email address. So by default, when your client is receiving the email, you will notice that the default email will be over here. An example would be no reply. So you can see it's a no reply at CAS 360. It will show, it will display my username because in my settings over here, if you can see right over here, I have enabled it as full name as the sender's name. So the sender's name will be set to CAS 360's username full name who sent the email. So it shows my full name, right? So by default, it will show as your company's name. So if I send an email or a document directly to my client through using CAS 360, it will display my company's name with no reply at digitalcorp.com.au. So you can simply switch that on toggle button if you want to display your full name instead. Now, also something to check on, or if you want much more accessibility or you want your client to reply. So going back to that email, for example, I've got over here my email. Let's assume I am Alexis and I want to reply to that particular my agent, my filing agent. I can simply click reply, and you can see right over here that my email address replied to has automatically changed to my email address. So it's not replying to the standard no reply. It automatically switched to my email address. To set that in CAS 360 is by simply switching on this option over here. So you can see in your default settings, it will be switched off and the default will be no reply. But you want to be able for clients to reply to you quickly using the same email thread. Simply switch on the toggle button and it will, and when they click on reply, it will reply to your email address instead. So this is how we set the reply to your own company email address. Now, generally, as you know, that because the default settings is no reply at CAS360. And you might want to wish, and you wish that you would like to have it to show as your company's email address. So instead of no reply, it's company. We do have an option here called custom email address. So you will require to do pay a setup fee. So this setup fee is actually a setup fee to AWS, as we are using AWS with the whole email functionality. And the recommended is to always use your general company email. So let's say if your company or your team is using a general email address for inquiries, or let's say corpsec team at bglcorp.com.sg, for example, this is your team's general email. I would recommend that to be the one to use. Reason being is because if other users, not just your main manager, but other users have their email address has linked to that general corpsec team email, they will all receive that email. Okay, so that nobody missed out on email. So it won't be unique. So if you're going to request, for example, I want my email address, specifically jpabilona, for example, it will only send to jpabilona. It's not gonna send to, and you will have to set up, if you want to set up custom setup to each individual, it will be 500 per email address. So just take note of that. Alternatively, one of the tips that I would also recommend for users is to simply CC your email. So if you want to know how it displays in your on the inbox of your client, you can simply put your email address as CC, or you can BCC, so you can know how it will display to your client's inbox. So that's how customization and email settings. Now, so I'm gonna go back to the other templates over here. So what I want to touch on is these document templates. So in CAS 360, you have the ability to customize your templates. So you want to know what are the templates that you can customize. Again, you can go to Singapore Health and go to CAS 360 Dictionary. So under the list of document template, I'm going to share these as well in the webinar chat, so everybody can bookmark this. So all these are the lists that you can customize. So if there is, for example, dividend statement or nominee director's notice, we cannot really customize it for now. So anything that's in blue text, you can customize. And each of these content, for example, a good example would be director minutes and resolutions. Each of these documents will have a very specific coding method, the coding style to input into those documents. So an example is this director members minutes and resolution. So if you want to customize the body text of a director minutes and resolution, you must get the template directly from director minutes and the resolution list. If you're getting the code, let's say, for example, I want to customize a template and I'm taking the code from this list, it will not work because the system didn't recognize it. It cannot map it out that, oh, I'm calling out the code for this particular form, but I don't know which code, like which form I'm supposed to apply it for. So essentially, this is something that you'll need to take note of. Not all the codes can be applied to other types of documents. So this code cannot be, for example, applied to a members letter, for example, because this code is specifically for director minutes and resolution. So I'm going to just open an example of one of my templates over here. So this one, I've already customized my template. I'll probably do this one just to show to you how it looks like when you customize. So you can see right over here, this is my custom template. If I were to go back to CAS 360, under documents template, you can see there are different categories of document templates I can customize. And I want to customize a good example. A simple example will be director minutes. So in the director minutes and resolution here, I'll locate this category, director minutes and resolution. And in this category of document set, I have two master templates. So when you're starting off with customizing, you will need to download one of the master templates from CAS 360. So you can either have this format or you can have a single column. Here you can simply download. Now, the reason why it's not very simple, I would say you cannot just simply upload your own formatting and custom templates because, again, the software cannot recognize your custom layout. There are thousands of layouts available and provided by service providers, for example, and the system is not able to recognize that kind of layout. It's not in their embedded code. So what you'll notice as you download, so I'm just going to quickly look for the download document here. You can see that the system default is the standard template that the software provides. So we have these type of settings, and we have this text paragraph, this very simple text paragraph for each director minutes and resolution. Now, because this is a director minutes and resolution, so all the text paragraph of standard director minutes and resolution will be in this single Word document. Whether you're preparing a appointment of director or you're doing a resignation of secretary, if you're also doing share transactions, like your share cancellation, your notice of EGM for director minutes and resolution, and most importantly, if you're preparing the AGM director minutes and resolution, that all that text will be inside a single file of director minutes and resolution. So AGM, so generally a lot will be customizing the annual returns content, the body, more specifically the body text. So these AGM director minutes resolution content can be found in director minutes and resolution category. So in this section here. Now, going back onto this, now I have my sample of customized template right over here. These ones, I'm going to be sending this sample after the session, either tomorrow or the next week. Just for you as new users, for you to use this as a sample so you can have a Singapore style template. So this is more of a Singapore style header. And if you want to customize it on your own, I will gonna just teach you how to do it as well. Now, going back to your template over here, you can see you had a code. Now, what I want to achieve here is customizing my header into Singapore style. So again, I'll go back to CAS 360 and I'll go to my help guide and select Singapore help. I'm just going to close that and select CAS 360 Dictionary. So remember, we are customizing director minutes and resolution. So in my list, I will make sure that I will select director minutes or resolution. So here it will provide me all the codes that I can use within the confinement of a director minutes and resolution document. So we'll do the same example format over here so that you know how I managed to actually do these. So what I'll do is I'll go back to my document right here. And you can see these ones, I don't actually want to touch this. I don't really want a labeling system. You can just remove those. Date as well. If you don't want to date your, let's say if you don't have the habits or practice to add the date, you can just leave it as it is like that. So what I'll do is I'll just simply I'll do a very quick, much more easier. So I usually just put it here first, just to show to you the text. So you can see the text over here, company number. Let's put there first. So this layout, I don't have any address as well. So I'm just gonna remove that. I don't usually do the date sign, but I do like to provide the document name. Just going to do that header over here. And oh, yeah, here. So you see in my format, I wanted my the company name to be uppercase. All right. So to do that, I can simply go back to my director minutes and resolution code list and scroll all the way to what we call the miscellaneous codes. So you can see that under the miscellaneous code, it will show you what kind of code and what it does to the text. So it will display the text as uppercase. So here, I can simply copy or remember this code. I'll just copy that. And I need to make sure that when I'm inputting the code, it's similar to how it was inputted here. So this is a sample of how I'm supposed to input that code. So if I were to go to my template, you can see, I can go back again, copy that. I need to make sure that I don't just copy and paste it. I have to ensure that it's similar to the instruction over here. Now, because I want this to display as bold in text, you can just simply put into bold. And generally, if you're customizing your template and you'd like to add in this information, for example, from your existing, your current template at the moment, the ones that you have as your company template, you can just add that in. And company range number. You can add in the similarities. I'm copying this format. And then the document name. So again, you can also make this bold as well if you want this to be emphasized. And then you have the letter heading. So generally it's your in writing pursuant for the constitution of the company. So what you'll also notice is that I've also I wanted these to be uppercase as well, right? So again, similarly, I'm going to do the same code for making my text to be uppercase. And I'm just going to copy the text that I have over here, just as an additional text. So for uppercase, for let's say uppercase, lowercase, you will need to make sure that you add the code to instruct um, the text to display in the format. Whereas if you want to make the text bold, you can simply use the settings from the Word document itself to apply that change. Then I'm just going to delete that. For example, I'll just add that in. So you can see how it will display. Now, I want to make sure that also this text is in bold, so don't forget to bold that text. And once I'm happy with that, I can simply save the content. Now, I'll also do a bit of a sample body text. So let's probably do a appointment of director. So you can see this is appointment of director. If you have additional text to disclose, you can here add on text over here. You can also display, for example, the company name. Let's say director of the company. And again, I'm going back to my code. I want to display the company's name. So I'll scroll the way up. And this is the company name. So I can simply copy that code and insert it into my body text. The company is so that it will display whichever company that I select. It will display that text. I want this maybe in, again, if you want this to be bold, and if you want this to be in uppercase as well, similarly, you can just input the code. And if you want to put in the UEN number, that's also can be done. I'll do an example, UEN number. And just input right there. You can also adjust the way the key dates is displayed, the dates displayed, the appointment of this particular director under the quotes. So you can scroll the way down and can see that in your when you scroll the way down, see under the date formats, it will allow you to display whether it's a full date, longer dates. So this is an example, uppercase, right? And you can just, let's say I want to use this code to be displayed. I can simply go to that code over there. So it's just simply inserting certain codes the purpose of this code is that to give instruction to the system to pull out the data and import it onto the Word document into your documents so that you don't have to type it manually back and forth. So just want to go back. So I'm going to go back again and to check if the codes are correct, if I inputted it correctly. It looks good. I'll just over here. I'm just going to make this also bold and just adding that. So this is really, really basic customization I've done. So if you have like text, additional text, you can copy and paste this all over here. Make sure that you give a bit of allowance and space for each of the code. So I'm happy with that. I'll click it as save. I'll save it as here. And what I'll do is that we're going to go back to our CAS 360. Right over here, we'll go back to our document templates, search for as directors as a keyword, and select the category directors minutes and resolution. So here I will upload the document I've just customized. And if you want all your companies to be using the standard, your own standard custom template, whenever they, let's say, do a director minutes and resolution documents, whether it's AGM, annual returns, company changes, you can simply set it as default. So that if I were to go back, for example, onto a company, and let's assume that I'm processing 15 June, for example, and I'm just gonna quickly process the appointment of Alexis. I'm just simply reprinting the appointment of Alexis as a director. Click prepare forms. And if I were to preview my document, so you can see this is not these ones. Pulling out right now. I think I've used a different one, different code. Hold on a second. Need to make sure that all this are correct. I'll go back again. I'm just going to go back again to my document templates, see if it's all good and correct. I'll just quickly change that one more time. I'll upload that document. And again, as mentioned, you can set the this as a default if you wish to. And I'm just going to quickly reprint that one of the documents. So hopefully it's okay. It's pulling out correctly. Okay, so we're having a bit of some issues, but essentially what you can see over here, right, is the text that we've just customized. You can see I didn't really add in correctly. You can see the error over there. The display of the code is it made my full date to display exactly as how I want based on this code over here. All right. And then the add-on text over here, you can see. So I might not have like added in my header correctly. So this is why it's causing this issue. So if I were to, let's say, I'm going to close this and let's go back to my settings and document template. Now in your document templates, you can upload as many templates as you want. So I'll upload one of my sample templates that I've done previously. You can see right over here. All right. And again, I'm just going to go back to one of my companies that I wish to prepare direct administrative resolution. And something also wanted to highlight is that because I didn't set my new template as the default, and you can see the option, when you click on the option, you will see what is the default template that this company is using. You can toggle as well and have the option to select the type of template that you want to use for this particular transaction. And let's assume I'm selecting the other template, the test SG3 template. And if I were to preview the document, you can see that this was the text, the customized template I have. You can also see that even my the style of my text is different because I've changed it within my Word document, uploaded it, and then uploaded it onto my CAS 360. So you can see this is very, very simple customization. But in terms of, for example, you want to have the Singapore format of the header, you can customize it within the software. So at the end of the sessions, next week, probably next week, I should be able to send you the sample Singapore style header, director minutes and resolution, and members minutes and resolution template, and you can start using that to test out the customization in CAS 360. So this is how we customized the documents in CAS 360. Now, the next topic I want to go through under the settings is your email templates. So again, similarly with document templates, you will have a list of emails that can be customizable. You can find it on the left-hand side, so you have different categories. And if you want to insert codes within your email template as well, you can simply go to your CAS 360 Singapore CAS dictionary and select email templates. So again, I'm going to share these into the webinar chat. So for those of you exploring, try to explore these templates, customizations. This is a very good resources as well. So within the software, specifically for Singapore, you have the ability to customize this list of documents. So for example, over here, I've got my document deadline reminders or annual returns, or if I want to have a document prepared, you can simply customize that. So an example document deadline reminder, if you want to send a reminder, as you recall that when you're preparing a download all, if you recall in this section over here, let's do an example. You can do a bulk reminder, automated document reminder. Similarly, a very quick tip as well, if you forgot this process, you can always do this reminder, document reminder, again, under options, and send a document reminder. So what I want to do is I want to customize my document reminder. So again, going back to the settings, select email templates, and I'll search for document reminder. So I have different categories over here. I have version 2, version 3, and the system default. So system default will look like this. Generally, for most you will have the system default looking like this. And if you want to customize your version, you can simply create new. I'm just going to delete that. So I've already created one. And so you can see over here, I've set these reminder version 2 as my default. So you can always open up this these versions. So this is an example of what I've done. So you can see in my document deadline reminder, in the subject, I have also added in the code. So where did I get these codes from? Again, similarly with your email templates codes, I went into my CAS 360 dictionary, select document deadline reminder, and locate the codes I can use within that document reminder, deadline reminder. So I've used up the company name code. So you can see right over here, I've input that in my header. I've also added in company number. So I've got that from this list. The client's name, you have the document name, the due date, single document, and the username. So username, as you know, that the email address is based on your username. If you have for example, your standard email signature, you can copy and paste and input it there. So once you've done that, you can simply either update, if there's any customization, and again, make it as a default. So here I have an example as well. I've customized it with company number. I've added in document for this company with a company number and a username. And if I want to set this as a default, make it as a default. So every time I send a document deadline reminder, the client, it will use the default settings. So let's assume I set that up. So that's my version number 3. And if we're going to go back to my documents, and let's see this document over here, the company changes, I want to send a document reminder. So you can see over here that in the section, my default document deadline reminder is the version 3. So if I were to send that, you can see that this is the document file. This is the document deadline reminder, the UAN number over here. And you can just add in the due date. So currently the due date for document deadline reminder, currently in Singapore, we don't have the standard due date at this stage. So you can just customize the rest of it. Let's say I want on 31st. So you can just add that in. So once I send that, I will receive, or rather the client will receive an email with that particular layout. So I'm just gonna quickly go to my inbox. And right over here, you can see that this was the customized template. You can see that there are some small little details here and there that I need to fix. And then you have the document reminder. So this is how we customize a email template within CAS 360. Now, the next topic I want to go through under the settings is setting your automated reminder. So in CAS, rather your automated reminders for documents and also for your AR. So in the same settings, you have these tab called automated reminders. These automated reminders allows you to do a bulk reminder sent to your client. You can also base on a document reminder. Right over here, if you do want to do a bulk reminder 30 days before you've sent out, 30 days before the deadline, you can add in 10 days before the deadline and so on. Now, what I wanted to focus more on is on the AGM. So in the AGM reminder, you have the ability to add in the AGM reminder sent directly to your client. So by default, you will see something like this. So to enable that feature, switch on the toggle button. And by default, you will have an empty one. So I've already got over here set up a bulk reminder to send to my clients 90 days before the AGM due, 60 days, and then 30 days and 7 days. Now, I'm just going to click here just to show to you how I managed to set this up. So with the automated bulk AGM reminder, you can set up to 90 days. And you also have the ability to select whether the deadline is set up based on the financial year end date or the AGM date. And again, you have a settings in your email template, which you can create a template for a general meeting reminder. So you can add in also based on financial year end date. So let's say 30 minutes before, you can just add in, or maybe 60 days, and you can set when do you want this reminder to be sent. So it will follow the local time of the country, which is the Singapore. So we'll follow 10 a.m. Singapore time. So you see that these settings over here is, I think might have seen AGM due. I'm going to select financial year and date. So you can see that you can set up this reminder. So you can set up to 6 reminder, for example. So if you want 30 days before the AGM to remind them about the general meetings, for example, you can do that as well, or up to like 90 days before the financial year ended, so that to remind them about the AGM, for example. Right. So this is how we set a bulk reminder to send directly to your client. So again, they will receive an email notification from the software to remind them about the AGM. All right. So that's for your reminders. Now, before I move to the free-form documents, any questions so far with the document customization or the template or the settings for the reminder. If those questions for this particular topic right now, okay, you can always drop me an email. I'll try to answer that for you. Now I want to go on to the topic of freeform documents. So freeform documents, you can find this on page 73 of the manual. And we're going to learn how to create freeform. Now on your navigation toolbar, you can see that there is an icon right over here, a tool called freeform. Freeform tool allows you to create freeform documents that it's outside of the software. The documents that it's not a standard document produced by CAS 360. So things like, for example, your agreement forms. So this is not part of the whole package of the software. This is outside. We don't produce this document within CAS 360. So you can add that in and save that to use and attach it to companies. So first, before you add that in, you want to go to your freeform and select freeform document. So you have two options over here, prepare freeforms and create new form templates. So if you are still creating a new template, this is your new external document that you haven't saved within the software. So what you want to do is select create new freeform template. So in the freeform template, you have a trail over here to ask you what type of document that you're creating and what template. So let's say onboarding process, or let's say onboarding confirmation. And you have the ability to select as well what type of document style. Is it a members minutes, or is it a resolution, letter form, or free form? Now, by selecting letter form, for example, it will create a layout for you with a letter style. So it will have this merge field code to create a letter style format. And you can also select what document type. Is this on a company level if you're creating it for a company, or is it for a specific contact? So if I were to click next, let's say this is where I type my text here. And then click next. You can see in the preview, it will show to you a letter style format. You have the date, the full name, their contact name, your body text, and so I'm gonna just increase that, and then username, first name, or name, for example. So it's a letter style. Now, if I were to go back and I'll select freeform, this is my content, it will just display to me exactly as it is on what I typed in the document. So if I were to say onboarding, welcome on board, for example, so you see that you're just simply creating a kind of like a label for this company, for this particular content. But everything else you can simply copy and paste. What is a header? Also you can insert your company's image in that if you have any logo for that particular document, and then the body text. So it will essentially follow a really free format of that document. So you can simply save, and by saving this particular template will be saved into CAS 360. So you can use it in other to your multiple companies and multiple contacts. So for this case, because we've selected out contact, so you can use this particular template for for all the clients that's stored in your global contacts, for example. If you select as a company, it will be on a company level. So if I were to click save and proceed, you can see that it will prompt me to select which company I want to apply this template for. So let's say I will do 11th, these 3 companies first. And it will automatically generate for you that freeform document. Now, if I were to go to my freeform templates, you can see that under freeform templates, in the category company freeform document layout, I will have these customized version over here. So if you want to edit, for example, I want to view the document. You can see that. And if you want to edit the information, you can go back and edit again. So all this will be saved in your freeform template so that in the future, if you want to use this same freeform template, you can just select that freeform template. So what will happen is, let's say now that you've saved your template, you're ready to use that template again to prepare a freeform document. So if I were to select, for this case, prepare a freeform, I type in onboarding. It should show me, so onboarding confirmation. You can see automatically it fills out the content. You can see this is the content that we've just created, and click and save and proceed. So this will again prompt you to select which company to apply. So you don't have to keep copying and paste the freeform. You can just simply copy paste at one go, create that template and save that template into CAS 360 under freeform template. Now, when you're preparing documents as well for freeform, again, we have an article that's really useful for freeform documents knowledge. So this one, I'm going to share these both the documentation, how we can process, and what's the difference between create and freeform, and what are the layouts that will look like on the document template, depending on what you have selected. Now, some also prerequisites. So this one of also questions on how do I process a change of financial year end or solvency resolutions, a customized one. You can simply go to your freeform, select prepare freeform documents, and type in change of financial year end. So automatically it follows a minutes and resolution style. It's on a director level. This is the text. And if you need to add in additional text, for example, you can see that it will automatically process the documents for you. So the custom template for a change of financial year end, it should over here. So at the moment don't have it. Freeform. At the moment don't have it, but I'll check with our team. So essentially, we will be able to generate out that freeform document for you in the resolution style. So you can just simply click on prepare, select change of financial year end, and this will allow you to process these documents. Now, any questions so far from the freeform documents? All right. So just gonna quickly go through the questions before I close the session. All right, so we do have some few questions. It's pertaining more on downloading the list. Um, I think these questions will be best to log into the support ticket and request for it specifically, as unfortunately I'm not able to show and display that this feature specifically due to my account is a little bit limited at the moment. So what I'll suggest for you is kindly request or log a support ticket. So again, I'm just going to go through again how to log a support request. You can simply go into your live chat, for example, to request for custom. I want a custom report. Could you please generate a custom report with this category, like name, UN, FIE from 31st, for example, then March, and so on. So you can just simply ask for these requests, particularly because these are much more custom requests that only our product team can process. So unfortunately, I'm not able to process this. So please do reach out to our support and also so that the support team can flag it to our product team as well. All right. Okay. Any questions on other topics as well, aside from that? All right. So if you have any questions, I'm dropping my email on the webinar chat. So those of you in the webinar chat, I'm going to drop in my email. So if you have any questions or query, or you want to flag some issues to the product team to support ticket, or you want assistance to log it into the support ticket, you can simply drop me an email to let me know what an issue is causing so I can also flag it to the product team. All right. Otherwise, just a very quick reminder as well that again, we're going to be having our user group session in August, August 25, 28th of August. Next month at 9:30 ISCA building at Cecil Street. Do register to guarantee your slot. So we are do register now because we're running out of slots. We will go through the new features that we have just released out, including what features that we have released out today. So features that I don't cover for my webinar trainings, we were going to cover that as well. Otherwise, thank you so much everyone for the sessions. Again, if you do have any questions, if you wish me to give you drop by to your office or have a quick call or do a meeting sessions, I'm happy to go through with you some of the topics as well. Or if there's any topics that I need to ticket flagged with a product team, do let me know. I've put in my email address as well, and I hope to see you for the user group session next month.